The only thing that's going to actually change your current reality is by having a bigger dream. And that's why the first step in my process is picturing the life that you want to create, because we will continue to tune into those limiting beliefs or our stories about money and our patterning if we don't have something that's the driver for us to actually shift and move to something else, if that makes sense, right? Because otherwise we just go to our default, right? The other piece that I want to make sure that we understand is that it's all driven from our subconscious mind back here, our amygdala, in our amygdala. It hardwires into your brain before you're 7 years old with some kind of trauma or rejection. And that is the foundation, the basis then of how you plug into the world. And abundance of money, abundance of love, abundance of opportunities, all comes from as a result of us actually being ourselves. One of the reasons why, like, for example, I have about 25% of my client base are people who have always worked in ad agencies. So all creative, right? They're never going to identify with numbers, which actually is the second step in my process, is accept the reality of not only what you've created financially, but also the acceptance of who you are, so that your authentic self can start to rise to the occasion, right? Why do we need to do that? Well, because our emotions are energy in motion. So if you have shame, blame, guilt, frustration, sadness, so if our emotions are energy in motion and we're having these emotions that are lower vibration, then what happens is that you cannot attract. What you're doing in those lower emotions is you're contracting your nervous system. And your nervous system goes all the way up your spine to your pineal gland. And your pineal gland, think of that like your lighthouse to attract everything. But if it's contracted, you're dimming your light. So with a dimmed light, you can't see out of the dark. You can't attract, right? You can't manifest. Or even, Randy, like you said, like, I'm making every decision from a money decision. Well, that's making you contract. That's why I love to take the word budget completely out of our vocabulary, because everybody thinks that they can't have stuff, or you're told you can't because you're on a budget. And we got to shift that to a place of empowerment. And what do I mean by that? It's not that you don't watch where your money goes, but making empowered choices of, this is how I want it to flow because I want X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to do A, B, C so that I can have X, Y, and Z. Right? But then you're coming from empowerment as opposed to victim of a budget. Do you see how our entire system sets us up to be a victim financially? Debt. You guys ever have debt or have debt today? Debt is a way to control the masses. Do they want the debt structures the way that they are, the powers that be? And this is not political, because I think it's anyone who's in power, either side. Because debt forces you to have to work to pay your bills. And 70% of the economy is based on consumer spending. So if they give you deadlines and they keep you working, you're driving the economy. People expect things to fall and they don't. It's because the consumer hasn't stopped spending. The biggest thing that matters is a consumer spending or is a consumer not spending? So even through all this political volatility over the last, year and a half, 2 years, we're still going up because the consumer hasn't stopped spending. That's why. So when we start to realize these things, and it's not good or bad, it's just recognize it and then decide what you want to be, right? There is a freedom. Nobody is sad the day they pay off their car. Nobody is sad the day they pay off their house or their student loans or their credit cards. It's usually a pretty happy day for most people. Not having debt gives you freedom, because it doesn't necessarily matter how much money you make. It's how much have you committed of the money that you do make going out the door already. Right? We start to put these things into empowerment. So in terms of following through, So reshift your paradigm and saying, okay, I'm not necessarily, yes, in the past, have I not followed through with things? Have I not finished projects? One, just understand that that's your nonlinear brain. Two, find the people who can finish the projects for you to still get your stuff plugged into the world. So for an example, I have 3 books. I'm a finance major. I wasn't an English major. And I'm not really good at working the algorithms of Amazon. But I found someone on Fiverr who's fairly inexpensive to put my books out there and create the ads. And I pay about $300 a month, and I sell anywhere between 40 to 80 books a month. And it's putting my work just more out to the world, to more people. But you could have that be $25 a month as a budget item, or however you choose. 300 is what works for me, right? Because that's how much I'm willing to take in my daily cash flow to get my work more out in the world. Because I'm really not spending 300 because I get about 200 back. So my net is really only $100 a month after I sell the books, right? But I found someone on Fiverr that's their mastery to do that, right? So like if you have a book and you want it out there, you can go on Fiverr and you can find someone who can finish the rest of it off for you. And so it's important to say, okay, the minute your brain tells you again that I don't follow through things, what I need you to do is to practice going, oh yeah, now I do. I didn't, but now I do. Now I do. Like you have to interrupt that. Do you want to experience free coaching based on my 25 plus years as being a financial planner and ask me any question that you want to ask me to help you get past that hurdle in your financial world? I run these free workshops every other month to start to open you up to start to help you get to this next place. The information for my free workshop, click the link below and register, and I'll see you on the next workshop.